Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Stellar Dawn, watching the stars through the main view screen. His coffee had gone cold an hour ago, but he did not care. After 3 months in deep space, the routine survey mission was almost over. They had mapped 17 star systems and found nothing more exciting than some ice-covered moons. "Sir, we have something on long-range sensors," called out Lieutenant Amy Foster from her station. Her voice carried a note of excitement that made Jake look up from his reports. "What kind of something?" Jake asked, moving to stand behind her. "Chair." "Multiple contacts, sir. They are big. Really big. And they are moving toward us at incredible speed." Jake felt his heart rate increase. In 40 years of space travel, humanity had never encountered another intelligent species. The possibility always existed, but most scientists believed they were alone in this section of the galaxy. "How big are we talking about?" Jake asked. Amy's fingers danced across her control panel. "The largest one is over 2 kilometers long. There are at least 6 ships in the formation. They will reach us in approximately 4 hours at their current speed." Jake turned to his communications officer. "Lisa, send out a standard greeting on all frequencies. Use the universal math sequences we learned in the academy." Dr. Lisa Park nodded and began working at her station. She was the ship's xenobiologist, but she also knew more about first contact protocols than anyone else on the crew. Her hands moved quickly as she prepared the transmission. "Broadcasting now, sir," Lisa said. "Simple mathematical sequences starting with prime numbers, then basic, geometric relationships." The bridge fell silent except for the quiet hum of the ship's systems. Everyone waited. Jake had read about this moment in training manuals, but he never thought it would actually happen. First contact with an alien species was the dream of every space explorer. "Sir, we are getting a response," Lisa said, her voice barely above a whisper. "They are sending back the same mathematical sequences, but with additions. They are completing the patterns we started." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. This was really happening. They were talking to aliens. "Put it on the main screen," Jake ordered. The view screen flickered and changed. Instead of stars, they now saw 6 massive ships approaching. The vessels were unlike anything humans had ever built. They looked like they were made of crystal and light with graceful curves that seemed to flow like water. They were beautiful and terrifying at the same time. "My God," whispered Dr. Peter Kim, the ship's engineer. "How do they even fly? I do not see any engines or weapons." The largest ship moved closer to the Stellar Dawn. Jake could see that it was not made of metal like human ships. The hull seemed to be alive, pulsing with soft blue light that moved in waves across its surface. "Sir, they are sending another transmission," Lisa said. "This one is different. It looks like they are trying to establish a visual communication link." "Accept it," Jake said. "Let us see who we are talking to." The HFY screen changed again. Jake found himself looking at the strangest creature he had ever seen. It looked like a jellyfish but made of light. Its body was translucent, and Jake could see organs glowing inside it. Patterns of color moved across its skin like a living rainbow. The creature's voice came through the speakers, but it was not like any sound Jake had heard before. It was musical, like wind chimes mixed with whale songs. Somehow, the ship's computer was translating the sounds into words. "Greetings, unknown species," the creature said. Its voice was calm and peaceful. "I am Science Director Veltar of the Zephyrian Exploration Fleet. We mean you no harm. We are curious about your kind and your origins." Jake stepped forward. "I am Commander Jake Morrison of the human vessel Stellar Dawn. We are honored to meet you, Veltar. This is our first contact with another intelligent species." Veltar's body flashed with what Jake thought might be surprise. "Human. From which world do you come?" "We come from a planet called Earth, in the Sol system," Jake replied. The moment Jake said the word Earth, something changed in Veltar's appearance. The gentle blue glow of his body turned to bright orange and red. Other Zephyrians appeared behind him, their bodies also flashing urgent colors. "Did you say Earth?" Veltar asked, his musical voice now carrying notes of alarm. "Yes, Earth, why is there a problem? Jake asked, confused by the alien's reaction. Veltar turned to speak with the other Zephyrians in their own language. The sounds were rapid and high-pitched, like birds singing very fast. Jake watched as all the aliens in view began flashing, the same orange and red colors. After a few moments, Veltar turned back to face the humans. Commander Morrison, we must ask you to confirm this information. Your species truly evolved on the planet designated as Earth in the Sol system? Yes, that is correct, Jake said. Why are you asking? You seem upset. Veltar's body dimmed to a pale green color. Commander, according to our galactic database, Earth is classified as a Class 13 Deathworld. This is the highest danger rating we have ever assigned to any planet. Only 12 other worlds in the entire galaxy carry this classification. Jake felt confused. Danger rating? What do you mean? A Class 13 Deathworld is considered completely uninhabitable, Veltar explained. The environmental conditions are so extreme that no known form of life should be able to survive there, even with advanced technology. We have detailed information about Earth in our records, but we believed it was lifeless. Dr. Lisa Park stepped forward. What kind of information do you have about our world? Veltar consulted something off-screen. Extreme weather patterns, including massive storm systems, dangerous seismic activity with frequent earthquakes and volcanic eruptions, deadly radiation from an unstable star, atmospheric composition that would be toxic to most known species, gravity levels that would crush most life forms, temperature variations that range from lethally hot to lethally cold. Jake stared at the alien. But that is just normal Earth. We live there. Billions of us. That is impossible, Veltar said, his body flashing bright yellow. No species could evolve in such conditions, no species could survive there. But we do, Jake said simply. Veltar was quiet for a long moment. His body slowly changed to a deep purple color that Jake had not seen before. Commander Morrison, Veltar said finally, we must see this for ourselves. Would you permit us to accompany you to your homeworld? We need to understand how you could possibly exist on a Class 13 Deathworld. Jake looked around at his crew. Everyone nodded. This was the opportunity of a lifetime. We would be honored to show you our home, Jake said. As the human and Zephyrian ships prepared to travel together toward Earth, Jake wondered what the aliens would think when they actually saw his world. To him, Earth was beautiful and normal. But if these peaceful creatures thought it was the most dangerous place in the galaxy, maybe humans were tougher than they realized. The journey to Earth took 6 days. Commander Jake Morrison found himself aboard the largest Zephyrian vessel, along with Dr. Lisa Park and engineer Mike Torres. The alien ship was unlike anything they had ever experienced. Mike ran his hands along the smooth walls of their guest quarters. This is incredible, he said to Jake. The entire ship is alive. These walls are not metal or plastic. They are some kind of living tissue. Jake nodded. Through the transparent sections of the ship's hull, he could see strange organs pumping fluids through tube-like structures. The ship did not have engines like human vessels. Instead, it moved by contracting and expanding parts of its body, like a massive space-dwelling creature. It is beautiful, Lisa said, looking out at the stars. But I wonder how they built it. They did not build it, came a musical voice behind them. They turned to see Kithara, a young Zephyrian who had been assigned as their guide. Her body glowed with soft pink and blue patterns. We grow our ships. They are bred from creatures that live in the deep spaces between stars. Mike stared at her. You mean this ship is actually alive? Of course, Kithara replied, seeming surprised by the question. How else would we travel? Your metal vessel seems so cold and dead to us. Lisa stepped forward. Kithara, can you tell us more about your homeworld? We want to understand why Earth seems so dangerous to your people. Kithara's colors shifted to warm yellow tones. Zelfi's Prime is a paradise world. We have gentle rains that fall softly, for a few hours each season. Our temperatures never change by more than a few degrees. The ground is stable and never shakes. Our star provides just the right amount of warmth, filtered through 3 protective moons. She paused, her body dimming slightly. We have studied thousands of worlds across the galaxy. Most civilized species evolved on similar planets, Class 1 and Class 2 worlds, where life can develop peacefully. Even Class 3 worlds are considered quite harsh. What makes a world Class 3? Jake asked. Occasional storms that might last a full day, Kithara explained. Or temperature changes of 10 degrees or more. Perhaps minor seismic activity once every few centuries. Mike looked at Jake and Lisa in amazement. On Earth, a storm that lasted only 1 day would be considered mild. Temperature changes of 10 degrees happened every few hours in many places. Kithara, Lisa said gently, what exactly does your database say about Earth? The young Zephyrian's body flashed nervous orange patterns. Perhaps it would be better if Science Director Veltar explained. Later that day, they gathered in the ship's main laboratory. Veltar floated in the center of a circular chamber, surrounded by glowing displays showing data about Earth. Other Zephyrian scientists hovered around him, their bodies pulsing with worried colors. Commander Morrison, Veltar began, we have been reviewing all our information about your world. The data is quite disturbing. A 3-dimensional image of Earth appeared in the center of the room. But this was not the beautiful blue marble that humans loved. Instead, it showed a world of violence and chaos. Massive storm systems covered entire continents. Lightning flickered constantly across the surface. The polar ice caps were shown as deadly frozen wastelands. Your planet experiences weather phenomena that would destroy most civilizations, Veltar continued. These hurricane systems generate winds of over 200 kilometers per hour. On Zelphus Prime, our strongest winds reach only 15 kilometers per hour, and even that is considered a severe emergency. Mike whistled softly. 200 kilometers per hour is actually pretty normal for a strong hurricane on Earth. The Zephyrians in the room all flashed bright red at this statement. Normal? Asked Dr. Morden, the ship's linguist. Surely you mean exceptional. Once in a lifetime. No, Lisa said. We get several hurricanes like that every year. Some are much stronger. Veltar's body went completely dark for a moment. Impossible. No biological life could survive such conditions. But we do, Jake said simply. Humans have lived through hurricanes for thousands of years. We build shelters and wait for them to pass. The Earth display changed to show seismic activity. Red dots flashed all over the planet's surface. Your world experiences over 1 million earthquakes per year, Veltar said. Some of these register magnitude 9 or higher on the standard scale. That sounds about right, Mike agreed. Though most of them are too small for people to notice. Too small to notice? Kithara's voice rose to a high pitch. Any seismic activity above magnitude 2 would cause panic on our world. We have not experienced an earthquake above magnitude 3 in over 1,000 years. Jake was beginning to understand the scope of the problem. These aliens came from worlds where a gentle breeze was dangerous weather. No wonder they thought Earth was uninhabitable. Show them the volcanic activity, suggested Dr. Fendara, another Zephyrian scientist. The display changed again. This time it showed glowing red spots scattered across Earth's surface. Your planet has over 2,500 active volcanoes, Veltar said. Some of these regularly spew molten rock and toxic gases into your atmosphere. Yes, Lisa nodded. Volcanoes are quite common. Many people live near them, some are even tourist attractions. The Zephyrians in the room began flashing rapid patterns of orange and red. Their musical voices rose in pitch, creating a sound like panicked birds. Tourist attractions? Morden asked weakly. You visit these death mountains for pleasure? Sure, Mike said. Hawaii has some beautiful active volcanoes. People come from all over the world to see them. Veltar changed the display one more time. Now it showed Earth's sun, with massive solar flares reaching out into space. Your star is extremely unstable. It regularly produces radiation bursts that would sterilize most worlds. The magnetic field of your planet is barely strong enough to deflect this deadly energy. Our sun is pretty normal for a yellow star, Jake said. The magnetic field works fine. We get some nice aurora displays when solar activity is high. You find beauty in radiation storms? Kithara asked, her voice barely audible. Northern lights are gorgeous, Lisa said. Green and blue curtains of light dancing across the sky. The room fell silent, except for the soft biological sounds of the living ship. The Zephyrians stared at the humans with what could only be described as horror and amazement. Finally, Veltar spoke. We are beginning to understand something unprecedented. You humans did not just survive on a Class 13 Deathworld. You thrived there. You evolved there. It shaped you. I guess so, Jake said. Earth is our home. We love it. That may be the most terrifying thing we have ever heard, Veltar whispered, as the living ship continued its journey toward the Sol system. The Zephyrians worked frantically to prepare for their first visit to the most dangerous world in known space. They had no idea that what they considered the ultimate nightmare, humans simply called home. The Zephyrian fleet reached Earth's solar system on a Tuesday morning. Commander Jake Morrison stood with Science Director Veltar in the main observation chamber of the alien vessel, watching his home planet grow larger on the screens. Earth looked peaceful from space. Blue oceans sparkled under the sun's light. White clouds drifted slowly across green and brown continents. To Jake, it was the most beautiful sight in the universe. To Veltar, it looked like a vision of hell. The atmospheric readings are terrifying, Veltar said, his body flashing rapid orange patterns. The chemical composition would kill most species in minutes. How do you breathe that poison? Jake looked at the data display. 21% oxygen, 78% nitrogen. That is normal air for us. Normal? Kithara joined them, her young voice high with stress. Our atmosphere is only 3% oxygen. Any more than that and we would burn from the inside. Dr. Lisa Park entered the chamber carrying a tablet. I have been monitoring Earth's weather systems, she said. We have a Category 3 hurricane in the Atlantic Ocean right now. Also, there are thunderstorms across most of North America. The Zephyrians in the room went completely silent, their bodies dimmed to pale gray colors. A Category 3 hurricane, Veltar repeated slowly. And you speak of this as if it were routine weather. It is routine, Lisa said. Hurricane Elena is tracking toward the coast, but it will probably weaken before landfall. People are just boarding up their windows and waiting for it to pass. Boarding up windows? Dr. Morden asked. Do you mean your people are staying in the path of this destroyer storm? Of course, Jake said. Where else would they go? You cannot evacuate entire cities every time there is a hurricane. People just prepare and ride it out. Engineer Mike Torres pointed to another display. Look at that lightning activity over Texas. Must be a good thunderstorm down there. The screen showed thousands of electrical discharges flickering across a huge area. Each bolt carried enough energy to power a small city. That cannot be natural, whispered Dr. Fendara. No planet could generate such massive electrical activity. That is just a normal summer thunderstorm, Mike said. Actually, it looks like a pretty mild one. I have seen storms with 10 times more lightning than that. Kithara made a sound like wind chimes falling downstairs. 10 times more? How does anything survive? Lightning rods, Lisa explained. We put metal poles on our buildings to attract the lightning safely to the ground. Problem solved. The young Zephyrian stared at her. You deliberately attract the deadly sky fire to your homes? It works pretty well, Jake said with a shrug. Veltar activated the ship's long-range sensors. I am detecting massive seismic activity across your planet's surface. The tectonic plates are in constant motion. Yeah, California probably had a few small earthquakes today, Mike said, checking his personal communicator. Looks like a 4.2 magnitude quake near Los Angeles about an hour ago. A 4.2 magnitude earthquake occurred near a major population center. Veltar's body flashed brilliant red. How many casualties? How many buildings collapsed? Mike looked confused. Casualties? For a 4.2? Nobody probably even noticed it unless they were sitting still. Maybe a few people felt their coffee cups rattle. You drink hot liquids during seismic events? Dr. Mordoon asked weakly. Well, yeah, Mike said. Life goes on. You cannot stop drinking coffee every time the ground shakes a little. The Zephyrian fleet moved into Earth's orbit, and the aliens got their first close look at the planet's weather systems. Hurricane Elena filled their screens, a massive spiral of destruction covering an area larger than most of their home countries. Tiati, wind speeds in that storm system exceed 180 kilometers per hour, Veltar reported. The energy release is equivalent to several nuclear weapons exploding every second. That is nothing compared to Hurricane Carl from last year, Lisa said. That one hit 250 kilometers per hour. Now that was a real storm. Every Zephyrian in the chamber went completely dark. You measure and name these apocalyptic events? Kithara asked in a tiny voice. Sure, Jake said. We have to keep track of them somehow. This year we are already up to Hurricane Elena. That means we have had 5 major storms so far this season. 5 apocalyptic events in one season? Veltar could barely speak. It has actually been a pretty quiet year, Lisa added helpfully. Last year we had 12 hurricanes and 3 of them were Category 5 storms. The ship's biological systems began making distressed sounds as the Zephyrians' emotional state affected their living vessel. Perhaps we should land and see the surface. Conditions directly, Jake suggested. I can show you some places that are relatively calm. Relatively calm? Veltar repeated. Sure. We could visit Colorado. No hurricanes there. Just some thunderstorms, maybe a tornado or 2, and wildfire. Season is almost over. Tornado? Dr. Fendara asked. What is a tornado? Mike pulled up a video on his tablet. It is a spinning column of air that moves across the ground. Wind speeds can reach 300 kilometers per hour or more. The video showed a massive funnel of destruction tearing across a landscape, throwing cars and buildings into the air like toys. And this Colorado place has these regularly? Morden asked. Eastern Colorado gets a few dozen every year during storm season, Mike said. But do not worry, most of them are pretty small. Small? Kithara squeaked. Yeah, only 100 or 150 kilometer per hour winds. Barely worth chasing. Chasing? Veltar's voice rose an octave. You pursue these destruction columns? Storm chasing is a popular hobby, Lisa explained. People drive around trying to get close to tornadoes to photograph them. The silence that followed was broken only by the worried humming of the living ship. Finally, Veltar spoke. Commander Morrison, we are beginning to understand something that changes everything we thought we knew about life in the universe. What is that? Jake asked. Your species did not simply survive on a Class 13 Deathworld, Veltar said slowly. You mastered it. You turned cosmic disasters into entertainment. You made the impossible seem routine. Jake looked out at Earth, watching the clouds swirl across the continents. I guess we never thought about it that way. This is just home. That, said Veltar, may be the most remarkable thing any species has ever accomplished. As the Zephyrian, ships prepared to descend through Earth's atmosphere. Their crews worked frantically to reinforce their vessels against what they considered the most dangerous environment in known space. They had no idea that humans were just getting started showing them what normal life on Earth really meant. Down on the surface, people went about their daily lives, completely unaware that aliens in orbit were watching them in absolute terror and amazement. The first joint landing party touched down in Colorado on a warm summer afternoon. Dr. Kevin Lane led the group, which included 3 humans and 5 Zephyrians, in specially reinforced environmental suits. The aliens had spent 2 days preparing for what they called surface exposure to the Deathworld. Kithara stepped carefully from the Zephyrian shuttle, her protective suit making soft beeping sounds as it monitored the hostile environment. The gravity is crushing, she said through her communicator. How do you move under such pressure? This is normal gravity for us, Kevin said, walking easily beside her. You will get used to it. Science Director Veltar emerged from the shuttle next, his suit supports helping him stay upright. The atmospheric pressure readings are beyond our safety limits. These suits can only protect us for a few hours. Take your time, Kevin said. We have all day. The landing site was a meadow in the Rocky Mountains, chosen because Kevin thought it would be peaceful. Wildflowers covered the ground and a small stream ran through the valley. To human eyes, it was beautiful and calm. To the Zephyrians, it was a nightmare landscape. The electromagnetic radiation from your star is incredible, Dr. Morden said, his readings showing dangerous levels of solar energy. How do you survive this bombardment? Sunscreen helps, Kevin said, pulling a bottle from his backpack. Want some? You protect yourself from stellar radiation with a topical chemical application? Veltar asked in amazement. Works pretty well, Kevin said, applying some to his arms. SPF 30 should be enough for today. They walked toward the stream with the Zephyrians moving slowly in their heavy suits. Suddenly, the ground shook beneath their feet. It was just a minor tremor, barely noticeable to Kevin. The aliens immediately activated emergency protocols. Warning lights flashed on their suits as they detected the seismic activity. Earthquake, Kithara cried. We must evacuate immediately. Kevin looked around. Earthquake? That was just a little tremor. Probably a 2.5 magnitude at most. A 2.5 magnitude seismic event is occurring right now? Dr. Fendara's voice was high with panic. The ground is unstable. We could fall into cracks in the earth. Relax, Kevin said, sitting down on a large rock. Look around. Do you see any cracks? The flowers are not even moving. The Zephyrians stared at him as he calmly ate his lunch while sitting on the unstable ground. You consume nutrition during active seismic events? Veltar asked weakly. Sure, Kevin said, taking a bite of his sandwich. Getting worked up just makes you hungry. In the distance, a rumble of thunder echoed across the mountains. Dark clouds were building on the horizon, and flashes of lightning flickered inside them. Electrical storm incoming, Dr. Morden announced, his instruments detecting the approaching danger. We must seek shelter immediately. It is just an afternoon thunderstorm, Kevin said, looking up at the clouds. Pretty normal for this time of year. The first drops of rain began to fall. The Zephyrian suits immediately went into full protection mode, sealing them completely from the acidic precipitation. The water falling from the sky has a pH level that would damage our cellular structure, Fendara reported. Kevin held out his hand and let the raindrops hit his skin. It is just regular rainwater. Tastes pretty good, actually. He tilted his head back and caught some drops in his mouth. You are consuming the acidic sky water? Kithara gasped. Rain is not acidic, Kevin explained. Well, not usually. Sometimes. We get acid rain near big cities, but this is clean mountain water. A bolt of lightning struck a tree about a kilometer away. The thunder that followed was loud enough to make the humans blink. The Zephyrians went into full panic mode. Their suits' emergency beacons activated, calling for immediate evacuation. Directed energy weapon strike detected, Veltar announced. We are under attack. Nobody is attacking us, Kevin said calmly. That was just lightning. It happens all the time during thunderstorms. All the time? Morden's voice cracked. These energy discharges occur frequently? Sure, this storm will probably have hundreds of lightning strikes before it passes. Hundreds? All 5 Zephyrians spoke at once. The rain started falling harder. Kevin pulled a jacket from his backpack and put it on. We should probably head back soon. This looks like it might turn into a real storm. This is not a real storm? Kithara asked. Not yet, Kevin said. The wind is only about 30 kilometers per hour. And listen to that thunder. The lightning is still pretty far away. Another bolt struck closer and the thunder came only seconds later. The energy weapons are getting closer, Veltar shouted. We must evacuate now. Okay, Kevin said, standing up. We can head back if you want, though the shuttle might get struck by lightning if we are not careful. Struck by lightning? Fendara squeaked. Happens sometimes, Kevin said with a shrug. Usually not a big problem if the craft has proper grounding. As they walked back toward the landing site, Kevin pointed out various features of the landscape. See those brown patches on the mountainside? That is from wildfires earlier this summer. And over there you can see where we had a rock slide last spring. Your planet regularly experiences firestorms and geological collapse? Morden asked. Well, yeah, Kevin said. Fire season, flood season, tornado season, hurricane season. Something is always happening somewhere. They reached the shuttle just as the storm really began. Wind howled around the small spacecraft, and rain hammered against its hull. Lightning flashed constantly, turning the sky white with electrical discharge. Inside the shuttle, the Zephyrians huddled together while their instruments registered what they considered a catastrophic environmental event. Kevin sat by a window, watching the storm with obvious enjoyment. This is beautiful, he said. I love watching thunderstorms. You find beauty in catastrophic weather events? Veltar asked in disbelief. Sure, Kevin said. Look at those lightning patterns. And listen to that thunder roll across the mountains. It is like nature's own symphony. Kythera looked at her instruments again. The electromagnetic energy being released by this storm could power our entire homeworld for a year. Probably, Kevin agreed. We are working on ways to capture lightning energy, but it is tricky. The bolts do not last long enough. You want to capture and use the energy weapons? Fendera asked. Why not? Kevin said. Free energy is free energy. As the storm raged around them, the Zephyrians began to understand something fundamental about humans. These creatures did not just survive in impossible conditions. They thrived in them. They found beauty in destruction and opportunity in disaster. Commander, Morrison was right, Veltar said quietly to his companions. These humans are not just survivors of a death world. They are masters of it. Outside, lightning continued to split the sky while humans in nearby towns went about their normal lives, barely noticing what the aliens considered the most terrifying display of natural power they had ever witnessed. The storm would pass by. Morning and humans would wake up to another normal day on the most dangerous planet in the galaxy. 3 months later, the Galactic Council chambers buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from 47 different species had gathered to hear Science Director Veltar's report about the impossible species from the Class 13 Deathworld. The massive crystalline hall could hold thousands of beings, but today it felt cramped as delegates whispered among themselves. The Siltari representatives, beings made of living crystal, chimed softly in their worry. The gaseous nebulans swirled in anxious patterns. Even the ancient Verdani, who resembled walking trees, rustled their leaves with concern. Commander Jake. Morrison stood beside Veltar at the center of the chamber. He wore his dress uniform and tried to look calm, but inside he felt nervous. This was humanity's first appearance before the galactic community, and the reaction so far had been mixed. Honored delegates, Veltar began, his musical voice carrying clearly through the chamber. We have confirmed the impossible. The species called humans not only survived on Earth, a Class 13 death world, but they evolved there. They call it home. A ripple of shocked sounds echoed through the chamber. The Crystalli delegation flashed warning colors while the plant-like Verdani dropped seeds in distress. Show them the evidence, called out Elder Zarthi of the Silthari. Prove these claims. Veltar activated a holographic display. Images of Earth appeared in the air above them. Hurricane systems, volcanic eruptions, lightning storms, and earthquakes played out in real time. This planet experiences catastrophic weather events daily, Veltar explained. Seismic activity that would shatter our cities occurs regularly. Radiation levels from their unstable star would kill most of us in minutes. The chamber fell silent as they watched a tornado tear across the landscape, followed by footage of humans actually chasing the deadly wind funnel with vehicles. They pursue these disasters for entertainment, Veltar continued. They find beauty in destruction. They have adapted to consider the impossible as routine. Delegate Morshan of the Nebulans spoke next, his gaseous form flickering with worry. What are their intentions? Do they seek to conquer? Jake stepped forward. Honored delegates, humans do not want to conquer anyone. We just want to explore, learn, and find friends among the stars. But your capabilities, said Elder Thylin of the Verdani. If you can survive on such a world, what could you do on normal planets? We just want to help, Jake said simply. Our harsh world taught us to solve problems and work together. We can share what we learned. Dr. Helen Wright, Earth's newly appointed ambassador, joined them at the center of the chamber. She had spent weeks preparing for this moment. We understand your concerns, Helen said. But consider this. Humans have always been explorers and builders. Our difficult world made us tough, but it also made us value cooperation and survival. Kithara, who had become something of an expert on human behavior, floated forward. I have lived among humans for 3 months. They are not aggressive toward peaceful species, but they are incredibly adaptable and resourceful. Show them the Rio. Rescue footage, Beltar suggested. A new hologram appeared. It showed human emergency workers during a recent earthquake, pulling survivors from collapsed buildings. Then it showed firefighters running into burning forests to save both people and animals. On most worlds, natural disasters end civilizations, Veltar explained. Humans use them as training exercises for their rescue services. The delegates watched in amazement as humans worked calmly in conditions that would terrify most galactic species. They do not just survive disasters, Kithara added. They run toward them to help others. Elder Zarthi's crystal form chimed thoughtfully. Perhaps we have been thinking about this wrong. Instead of fearing their abilities, should we not learn from them? That is exactly what we propose, Helen said. Humans could serve as emergency responders for the galaxy. We are already adapted to survive in extreme conditions. Delegate Fenmore of the Aquatic Depth spoke up. Our water worlds sometimes experience thermal vents and pressure changes that kill our people. Could humans help in such conditions? Probably, Jake said. We have people who work in underwater volcanoes and deep ocean trenches for research. Extreme pressure and heat are manageable with the right equipment. The chamber erupted in excited chatter as species began realizing the possibilities. The radiation-sensitive glimmers could use human help on high-energy worlds. The fragile whispers could benefit from human assistance during their rare but devastating storm seasons. We propose the creation of the Terran Emergency Response Protocols, Helen announced. Humans would serve as first responders for disasters across the galaxy, while learning from your advanced peaceful technologies. Veltar's body glowed with warm golden colors. We support this proposal. Humans represent something unique in the galaxy. They are proof that intelligence can emerge from the harshest conditions and still choose cooperation over conquest. The vote was unanimous. Every species agreed to welcome humanity into the galactic community as their emergency specialists. 6 months later, Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the new vessel, Starfire, humanity's first galactic rescue ship. His crew included both humans and aliens working together. Admiral, we are receiving a distress call from the Theta Cygni system, reported Lieutenant Carol Stone. Solar flares are threatening the luminous colonies. Plot a course, Jake ordered. Estimated radiation levels? Lethal to most species, sir, but within human tolerance with standard protection. As the Starfire jumped to faster-than-light speed, Jake smiled. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy not as conquerors, but as the species willing to go where others could not. On worlds across the galaxy, children of a dozen species learned about the brave humans from the Deathworld who came to help whenever disaster struck. They became legends not for their capacity for destruction, but for their refusal to let impossible conditions stop them from saving lives. Back on Earth, life continued as normal. Hurricanes still roared across the oceans. Earthquakes still shook the continents and volcanoes still erupted. But now, instead of just surviving these events, humans used them as training for their galactic rescue missions. In the end, Earth's classification as a Class 13 death world became humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy. They had learned to thrive, where others would perish, and they chose to use that strength to protect and serve their new alien friends. The death world had created not monsters, but heroes.